Welcome to the Daybreak with Jeff Slakey podcast. I'm so happy you found us. Please subscribe, rate, review, and share this with your circle of influence. It's a collection of the interviews, news, and conversation during Daybreak with Jeff Slakey on I-Fiber One News Radio, KMAS, weekdays from 6 to 9. Good Monday morning. Happy June 1st to you. Spencer, good morning.
Good morning. A new month. Clean slate, as they say.
Yep, that's right. It's June 1st, and we are going to be moving through this month, a good month. We've got good conversations. Today in the news, the latest on the COVID numbers for Mason County. Also a little bit on the nationwide protests that have been happening across the country after the killing of George Floyd. The city of Shelton is preparing to reopen its city parks. Treasure's thrift store is unfortunately not going to be reopening. Gas prices are up a little bit, and researchers at Wazoo may have found a way to help crops and climate change there. So that'll be a fun conversation.
I'll check the weather, and we'll hear from Sheriff Salisbury and Health Director Dave Windom on Mason County in Phase 2.
Washington Governor Jay Inslee late last night ordered a statewide activation of the National Guard following vandalism and theft in stores and shopping malls in multiple cities after protests of the killing of George Floyd. Inslee has previously authorized 400 troops for Seattle and 200 for Bellevue. On Saturday night, people smashed downtown Seattle storefronts and stole items from many businesses, tossing mannequins onto the streets. Yesterday, there were thefts in stores and shopping malls in Bellevue, Spokane, Tukwila, and Renton. Portland also saw large rallies, and police used tear gas to disperse crowds. There was what appeared to be a peaceful gathering in Shelton yesterday, with people starting at Loop Field and marching to the county courthouse. Pictures on social media showing large groups of folks. In Olympia, stores closed early, and crowds gathered downtown, some peaceful, some not, in the streets. More protests are expected today across the country.
Mason County Public Health's daily brief noted one new confirmed case of COVID-19. This brings the total to 36 positive cases of COVID-19 in Mason County, with just 3 active cases. Mason County Public Health is continuing contact interviews. The patient, a female in her 50s, is currently isolating at home. There have been 1,943 tests performed, according to information from the Department of Health. Food Lifeline began deliveries of emergency boxes to Mason County on April 30th, 2020. We have 9 partners that provide food assistance within Mason County. The 9 partners are Community Food Pantry, Hood Canal Food Bank, Mason County Senior Activities, Meals on Wheels, North Mason Coalition of Community and Churches, North Mason Food Bank, Senior Services for South Sound, Shelton Squaxin Island Tribe Food Bank, the Saints Pantry Food Bank, and to date, 148 pallets of emergency food. That's almost 6,000 boxes and 135,000 some odd pounds of food. It's a lot.
Man, that is awesome.
Isn't that incredible? 30 pallets of emergency food, which is 1,500 boxes, 30,000 pounds of food there. 2 pallets of mixed produce, 56 boxes, about 1,400 pounds of food, and 180 pallets, 7,476 boxes, which is 167,000 pounds of food.
Yeah, that is quite the distribution all across the county there. That's some pretty impressive numbers.
Oh, yeah.
Gosh, there is such a need right now. Isn't it something?
There really is, more than ever.
City of Shelton is preparing to reopen all city parks beginning today. All city parks and trails will be open during regular operating hours. That's 8 a.m. till dusk. The decision to reopen city parks come after the recent approval to the Phase 2 variants of reopening. Remember to follow these protocols to help reduce any potential spread of COVID-19. Outdoor recreation and gatherings limited to no more than 5 people outside of your household per week. No group picnic shelters or ball fields will be scheduled for group uses. Practice your physical distancing. Give others plenty of space. Bring hand sanitizer and face coverings, and stay home if you're sick.
Mason General Hospital Foundation's Board of Directors would like to thank the community and the donors who have supported Treasure's Thrift and Bookstore over the years and the mission to provide funding to Mason Health. As of May 31st, as of yesterday, Treasure's Thrift and Bookstore in downtown Shelton will no longer be in operation. This makes me sad. I used to go there a couple times a week after the show sometimes, just kind of putter around there and find some cool stuff. The building will be under a new name, occupancy, and ownership. MGHF's board members would like to thank the donors and volunteers who donated many hours over the years. The foundation also wishes to acknowledge Treasure's employees for their hard work and support. Thanks to the community members who had donated clothing, furniture, toys, books, and so much more. Thanks to the loyalty of the community, Treasures has supported the provision of quality health care in Mason County through Mason General Hospital Foundation. Well, Washington gas prices have risen 5.1 cents per gallon in the past week, averaging $2.42 a gallon today. According to Gas Buddy's daily survey, they look at 2,666 stations. Gas prices in Washington are 12.9 cents per gallon, higher than a month ago, and stand $1.04 per gallon lower than a year ago. According to Gas Buddy price reports, the cheapest station in Washington is priced at $1.85 a gallon today, the most expensive at $3.09 a gallon, a difference of $1.24 a gallon. The national average price of gas has risen 0.7 cents per gallon in the last week, averaging $1.97 a gallon today. The national average is up 20 cents per gallon from a month ago and stands 84.5 cents per gallon lower than 1 year ago.
Well, again today on the show, Mason County Sheriff Casey Salisbury, Health Director Dave Windom. Also, our senior shout-out hotline is open now. We were having some technical difficulties with it, but it's back and working now. 360-426-1030. Press 0 and leave your message to your senior. Also, on the hotline, you can do an appreciation shout-out if you've got somebody that's gone the extra mile, either a business or your customers or anybody across county or city government you think has done a great job, needs to be recognized. You can leave that message as well at 360-426-1030 and press 0. More great conversations on the way this Monday morning. It's June 1st. Good morning.
From the iFiber One News Radio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Jeff Slakey and Spencer Hughes here on the Daybreak Show. On the phone line, Mason County Sheriff Casey Salisbury. Also, Dave Windom from the county. He's been our health director, moving us through coronavirus and COVID-19. Morning, guys.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good news as the county was approved into phase 2. And so let's just kind of talk about what that means and what you guys are looking at now moving forward. First thing I find interesting is that phase 2 is reopening and a lot of folks are excited. But for all the folks that are excited, there may be business owners who are still unsure about regulations and guidelines and their own personal level of comfortability. They don't have to necessarily open if they're not ready. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. And in fact, some guidance came out. Actually, some emergency regulations came out from the governor's office. They said if you can't meet the guidelines, that there's penalties involved. So he came out with a little more enforcement this week. And some businesses are taking that very seriously and saying, you know what, I just can't meet the guidelines as they're laid out right now. So they're choosing not to open. Others are moving forward and working within those guidelines and doing some creative things that are great. And so it's really up to the business.
When it comes to folks getting in touch with you, do you have to go in and look at the business before it opens, or is there a state official that will come in, or do you open and then if somebody comes in after and they see that maybe they're not following the guidelines, there's problems?
So it's kind of the latter. Okay. So what we're recommending is that businesses, as they're getting ready to open, get a hold of the EDC, Economic Development Council, because those folks down there are just great at looking at plans and helping people, guide people through this process. And they're part of our function here at Area Command. They're an integral part of our function. So they can look at plans and help you, work your way through what the requirements are. So the last part of that is if people are open and they're not complying, then L&I can step in, and it's a $10,000 fine for not adhering to the governor's guidelines. So that's certainly a disincentive.
Yeah, wow. And already with businesses struggling over the last 2 months, I'm sure a lot of folks are really dotting those I's and crossing those T's. I've seen some, as you mentioned, some interesting ways that businesses have looked to reopen. Are there one in particular, I don't have to name names or anything like this, but one restaurant I saw, they had almost clear shower curtains in between each of the tables. Is that part of a specific guideline, or is that part of the people need to have a barrier between groups?
So the way the guideline was written is that you have to have at least 6 feet between, so they were talking about 50% capacity, unless you have a physical barrier. So they got creative and put these shower curtains in, and it kind of meets the guidelines of having a physical barrier. So it was a very creative solution.
As we move into and through phase 2 and eventually 3 and 4, what's the county doing for its offices and for its staff?
So technically, the county's not supposed to open everything until we get to phase 3. But what the county's been doing for the last month and a half is installing sneeze guards at all the public-facing counters. Some folks are still working from home. We're doing things on an appointment basis. So, for example, the building department is still intaking plans and designs, but it's by appointment, and there's a process people go through. We're looking to do as much as we can electronically. So, and I'll refer to the building. We're doing things virtually, so electronic inspections and electronic plan review. So, in some ways, it's kind of kicked us up into the 21st century here, and courts are going to be reopening. Everything's going to be reopening, but with those social distancing and masks, all that will be incorporated.
How much longer do you guys anticipate your you guys meet oftentimes, many times during the week? Is that going to continue through phase 4, through the rest of the year as needed, or?
Well, Jeff, it's interesting you asked that. This morning in our area command meeting, most of the people that are involved in the emergency services and things involved in emergency planning are here. The other thing that we discussed this morning moving forward is that we're coming up on a fire season. And as you know, that has been quite a problem in the past. And so most of the people that participate in that are here already, and we're already thinking about some guidelines and some ways to transition into covering that too, and how we're going to have to do both this year. And we're already in the planning stages for that as we started discussions on that this morning.
Well, I know it was last year or 2 fire seasons ago, we held a great county-wide 3 different forums about wildfire. And so I'm sure seeing how 2020 is going, heaven forbid, but we'll be hopefully ready to fight those fires, both in the parks, the national parks, and here in the county. So it sounds like things are moving forward good through phase 2. Have you had any further? I guess the next question is, what are you guys going to be needing to look at and in moving to phase 3 or staying at phase 2? Is it, I think I read that there was, if a case popped up, you have a certain amount of a time window to get the information out there. What are some of the other things?
So we're tracking the number of cases. We're tracking, the types of cases. Basically, everything we did for phase 2 to get ready for phase 2, we'll be doing again for phase 3, and then adding some more granular information to that. So as cases come in phase 2, we'll be looking at and reporting back to the Secretary of Health on, have we been able to track the source of that particular case? And we're doing that. I've been so pleased with our crew that we have, our team that we work with. When we get a case notification, typically we are done with that in 12 hours. We've done the contact tracing, and we're pretty good to go. Always within 24 hours, we're done. So we're meeting those state criteria, and now it's just kind of monitoring how phase 2 is going, and then looking at the new criteria that will come out for phase 3.
Is everyone in the group comfortable or as comfortable as they can be moving forward into phase 2? You guys have put a lot of legwork in, and you see these numbers and the data. You think that the county and the citizens are ready to move forward and do what they need to do to help get to phase 3?
Jeff, I'll let Dave can put a conclusion on this, but I think as far as the planning stages, we're as ready as we can be. But I think one of the challenges that I really appreciate Dave's work on this is that it seems as though, we get into the planning stages and we're following what we're being asked to follow, but sometimes the goalpost moves on us and we'll get a new requirement or a new suggestion or however you want to put it from the state that we need to be moving to. And then we have to maybe move the operation a little bit and go towards a different goal. And so that's a little bit challenging, but the groundwork is here to move forward with things. But a lot of those are unknowns that we don't know by cases, and those kind of things are going to come up. So a lot of it's playing it by ear as we move forward as well.
And from our point of view on the planning side, so we're planning both for the economic recovery plus planning for any COVID responses that we might have. So we had to have a pretty robust plan in place with contingencies just to get into phase 2. And we're going to be making that even more granular as we go into phase 3.
Well, it's glad to know that we got great professionals like you guys meeting constantly, talking about this with county leaders and all up and down county government there. So Dave Windom and Casey Salisbury on the phone line this morning. Good to talk with you guys and catch up and find out where we are. And we look forward to hearing more positive news coming out of Mason County.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, guys.
You're listening to Daybreak on I-501 News Radio.
Well, again, as June 1st emerges, good morning, everybody. The Daybreak Show rolls on. Good morning, Spencer.
Hey, good morning. Happy June.
Today is June 1st, and as we look at the calendar of the day today, there are some kind of fun days on the focus here. It is National Go Barefoot Day, Olive Day, Pen Pal Day, which we've talked about before. There's a Pen Pal thing going on with the Hub Center for Seniors up in Belfair. You can go on their Facebook page and find a little bit more information out. But today is also National Say Something Nice Day. And over a weekend of turmoil across the country on the heels of the last 2 months of coronavirus, we are in the middle of a real trying time, it appears, in our country.
Yeah, absolutely. And we know that kind gestures mean everything right now, and kind words even more. They don't take any effort. They don't take a lot of time. They don't take any money. Just when you run into somebody, try to say something nice, whether you compliment them, whether you thank them. I do that all the time when I'm in the grocery store and I see these poor folks wiping everything down and wearing the masks, and you could see the stress on their faces. It's not easy to work in a grocery store as it is, let alone during a pandemic, and everybody's grouchy and everybody's upset at your policies. And so just be nice to people. They need it.
This is not part of this, but I saw something the other day on mask wearing in grocery stores, convenience stores, for example. It was something about, well, you may not, if you're not wearing let's say you're not wearing your mask. So you go into this, I'm just going to make a quick trip in. I'm just going to run in and run out. I'm not going to put my mask on. It's not an issue. Well, it's not you doing that. It's the 55 other people that have come into the store before you, that the one CSR, the person at the front teller desk, they're the one that has to interact with everybody. So the protection, is for that person who's had to deal with 55 people, not just you doing your own thing in and out real fast. I thought that was an interesting way to kind of flip it and look at it from the checkers perspective.
No, absolutely. And I was hearing people talking about this. When people say they're so inconvenienced, it's not really that big of an inconvenience. I mean, I have to wear it at work at the dealership. We have to, as part of phase 2, and even part of phase 1, really, wear the masks. The customers don't. We don't require we supply them if they want them, but we have to. And that's a little bit harder when you're talking about an 8-hour day and most of that day is wearing the mask. But when you go shopping, I don't understand the level of complaining. Just be nice, go in there, do as the Romans do, right, as they say when in Rome, and just put your mask on, do your shopping and get out and take it off.
I saw something the other day that says it was like, what if we find out the masks did or did not work, right? Either one, they worked and you just protected somebody and it was no real problem. Or they don't work and you wore a mask for 10 minutes. Big whoop.
Yeah, it's true. It's like, what's the worst case scenario? I mean,
what's the worst that could happen by wearing this thing for the 10 minutes you're in a store? Anyways, we got way off the rails on that. It's National Say Something Nice Day. And I was going to kind of tie it into what's been happening over the weekend with the protesters. And I saw, although there were quite a few bad actors across the country with the fires and the looting, which is terrible, the peaceful protests that included the celebrities, the governmental officials, even police officers that I had seen engaging with the peaceful protesters. These are the days, especially now, as folks wake up this morning and in certain cities across the country are having to now not only coronavirus but now have to rebuild. Give a nice message. Give a smile. If you're not wearing your mask, it's hard to smile with your mask on. But a wave, a hi, have a great day, or hope you're doing well. Pass that, spread that along.
Absolutely. And not to politicize any of this because there's no reason to do that. But police need that extra smile too. They really do. These men and women are putting their lives on the line every day. And now they're going to work thinking, is there going to be a violent protest in my town? Are people going to go, bonkers on us? Are they going to light things on fire? It's even more stressful than ever. So just kind of, nod at them, smile at them, acknowledge them, thank them if you're up close enough to thank them. But they could really use that too. Everybody needs a kind word today.
Well, up until now, officers have had to worry about being potentially exposed as frontline workers to coronavirus. And now they've got that issue plus a possibility of a violent protest when it appears that the mass majority of people across the country that are enraged by what happened are peaceful actors here trying to promote a message of goodwill. Yeah. And unfortunately, there's a group in pockets all across the country that are using this as a means to a different end, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah, no, absolutely right.
Well, June 1st rolls on. Say something nice to somebody today. More Daybreak Show on the way. Thank you so much for listening to today's Daybreak with Jeff Slakey podcast. Again, I'm so happy and honored you found us and chose to listen. Please subscribe, rate, review, and share this with your circle of influence. It's a collection of some of the interviews, news, and conversation during Daybreak with Jeff Slakey on I-Fiber One News Radio, KMAS, weekdays from 6 to 9. Thank you so much again, and talk with you next time.